The audience, ask anybody in the audience first to speak in favor of the proposal, and then anybody who would like to speak against the proposal, and then if necessary, a short rebuttal from the applicant. Then we confer amongst commissioners, and because it's not by ordinance, we do not have to come back in 2 weeks to make the decision. So if it is a straightforward decision, we can make that decision tonight. If not, we will adjourn, do more research, come back in 2 weeks and make our decision. That being said, the first item on the agenda is to review and approve the planning commission minutes from April. Anybody see any issues with April?
I make a motion, we approve the April meeting minutes.
We have a motion to approve, and we have a second. Seconded, all those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the certified survey map approval and 8826 County Trunk ES, parcel number PET 1600001, 1600006B, 1600013. Carl Sawyer. If you wanna just, let us know what you're looking for. Carl?
So what we got going on here is, currently my wife and I, Kate, have, purchased the old Fletcher building, or Fletcher, Troy Sanitary Service. We purchased that piece of property, which adjoins ours all the way around. And we had to do a lot line adjustment between lot 1 and lot 2 as it stood already. So we just decided while we were doing this, we were just going to adjust the lot line between 2 and 3 as well. So to back up a little bit here, lot 1 is the storage sheds, okay? And when the county decided that the C1 and C4 area that was considered a high quality wetland rather than a medium quality wetland, then we had to move over to allow the same amount of storage sheds on that property. And so now we're actually getting around to moving the lot line to where it's supposed to be according to the plans we submitted. So that accounts for that lot line adjustment between lot 1 and 2, okay? Lot 2 is the former home site, or my former home site. And that property used to wrap all the way around Fletcher's there and included the entire swamp there. Well, we decided, we had the opportunity to buy Fletcher's old place, which is now what we're gonna call lot 3. And we decided as long as we're doing all these lot line adjustments, what we wanted to achieve there was to allow in the future, right now, we own both lots, but if one lot goes to, say, one son and one goes to the daughter, then they each have access to the wetlands to use it for, for pursuit of hunting or trapping or whatever they wanna use it for. So that was our purpose in splitting the swamp down the center like that. That'll allow both lots to have access in the future, and it pretty well equals them out, and that was what we're trying to achieve here. So, it's pretty much a summary of what we're up to.
Anybody have any questions for the applicant? I do have some feedback from Matt Weidensley, that may or may not change your mind, but, since we got Carl up, does anybody have any questions for Carl?
Not yet.
Okay, thank you. So in talking to Matt, basically what Carl's proposing here is, it's a little bit of everything. It's C4, it's C1, it's R1, it's B4. It's in our business corridor. This is basically how Matt, I'm not gonna say Matt told Carl what to do, but the county is fine with this. We've already approved the B4, the storage sheds.
Right.
To me, this is kind of it's a CSM, so it always comes before us. We have to approve it. This is nothing really new and controversial, so I just wanted to talk to Matt about it before we met tonight, so. Any other discussion?
Do they have 3 houses then?
Well, I'm not sure you could have, I guess you could probably have a house on that farthest south one where he's he's about to build all the, I mean, we gave approval for B4, so I don't know if you can have a house on a business.
That's the storage. That's the storage.
Correct,
So
that's the plan for him right now.
You won't put a house on that.
No, I mean, he's moving dirt, he's already in the process of building them, well, not building them, but moving dirt for the sheds.
Right.
I'm just thinking if ever, 20 years from now, probably,
Lot 2 was the old house that burned down.
right?
Yeah.
There was a house
So
there.
that was already an established lot. It's
Well,
just
you
put
know,
a line
then,
up the middle to divide, which Fletcher's is.
And there probably already is a house there
And there's
too.
a house there,
Yeah.
that used to be an old barn.
Right, mm-hmm.
It's a house now. So,
Is that the one next to the wetland?
yes,
Correct, yeah.
And is that the swamp that's being split down the center?
yes.
Can I ask a question, Carl?
Sure.
I know that at one time you proposed, putting in a lake.
Well, on lot 2, I planned on putting in some small landscaping ponds. The plan is in the future, right now, to put up a house there in the future with a building in the back, exactly like Fletcher's got right now. The piece we purchased now, we would do the same thing, and it would be a business it would be a business, a B4 zoning, we would change it at that time. So it would be a house with a business on the site. So it will still fall within the parameters of this being our business corridor here in East Troy.
That wasn't my concern, actually. I just wondered if the plan was still to include the ponds or the lakes, and how that affected the wetland that's already there.
So if we were doing any kind of a pond or a lake there, it would be purely decorative, it would not affect the wetlands.
Okay.
In some ways, because we'd be drawing the water, we'd be putting in some sort of artificial filter pond in there as well with a planting bed in it in order to filter the water.
Okay,
Then the overflow would run through and back to the swamp eventually. So in some ways, we'd be filtering it, helping the wetlands to some extent.
okay,
My intentions on that property for lot 2, right now, there's oak wilt going through it. I do not wanna see I was very, very upset that I had to take the trees down that I did. That's some of the last old growth in the county.
right,
I was very upset with the county classifying that as wetlands as high quality, and therefore that required bigger retention ponds, which meant moving the property line, which meant the loss of the hardwood.
okay,
And so my intention on that lot 2 is to not do anything that's gonna cause the loss of any more of the hardwoods. Cause as it is, as I said, oak wilt's already walking through there, and I'm gonna try and stop it this coming winter, but I did not own Fletcher's old place, and that's where the wilt started. And until I can cut those trees down in the winter, there's nothing I can do,
okay.
so. And I guess I'm sorry for a long-winded answer, but.
No, because that was the next question, because I remember you saying you didn't want to remove the oaks.
No,
And when they came down, I was sort of conflicted as to, well, why have they come back? I didn't know if they were sick or just what the reasoning was, so.
no, the reasoning was very simple, because when we did our wetland delineation for the storage sheds, the delineating company and the DNR agreed that those were a low-quality wetland because of the classifications of the plants and everything else. The county came back and termed it as a high-quality wetland, and because they determined that it was high quality, that forced us to increase our stormwater retention and what we had to retain before it's allowed to run off the site. That created bigger ponds, which meant in order to keep the same amount of buildings, we had to move the lot line, which necessitated the removal of the trees. So, believe me, There was a heartbreaking situation to go through and cut those trees,
Well-
every one of them.
You were very passionate at the original planning meeting where you indicated that you didn't wanna cut them, so.
No, we actually did retain a couple that are in there's a couple that are in the 20-foot setback that I retained, which, you know, the architect said, hey, they should go, and I said, you know, cause they are a fall hazard on the new buildings, but,
Right,
you know what, that's what we have insurance for.
okay,
I'd rather save the tree. You know, believe it or not.
thanks. Okay, thank you.
Any other discussion amongst commissioners before I open it up to the audience? All right, at this time, would anybody in the audience like to speak in favor of the proposal? Actually, could you, just for the record, name and address? please?
Sure. John Stos, North 8831 Stringers Bridge Road, East Troy, Wisconsin, 53120. I'm in support of Carl's plan here. It'd be nice to see the trees that are there taken care of and the site made nicer, and it's nice to see somebody be able to utilize their property in a good fashion in a long-term way.
Thank you. Anybody else like to speak in favor of the proposal? Would anybody like to speak against the proposal? All right, like I said, to me, it's kind of a I dotting and T crossing. I mean, he did acquire that new piece of land, that's news until last time we met. But he's putting it all in one CSM, you know, saying how he's gonna use it, you know. I honestly think we could act on this tonight unless anybody else disagrees.
I don't see an obvious problem.
Agreed, there's no non-conforming pieces of land, you know. I mean, if he does, you know, wanna change that one lot to B4, he's gotta come back to us for a zoning change. This is just the CSM zoning as is, so.
I'd make a motion, we approve a certified survey map for N8836 County Trunk US.
We have a motion to approve, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is any other business amongst commissioners?
We gave you the
DOT?
DOT, folder, and I just need to hear from everybody, if I haven't already heard from you, in regards to staying on the planning commission. The last thing is that as we voted on this, proposal tonight, this is my final planning commission meeting. I will be turning over the planning commission appointment to Pete Hasselhahn.
Okay.
Pete is standing right there, typing Carl, in a minute, he will introduce himself, and, thank you
Sorry,
for
here you go.
allowing me to, learn from you guys, because this is not an area of my expertise, so, thanks.
Alright.
Pete, I have, indicated to the planning commission that you will be, filling my seat, and so if you would like to introduce yourself to the,
Sure.
board.
Well, my name is Pete Kesselheim. I'm a lifelong resident of East Troy. I know Dave Gray. Mr. Zelinski is familiar to me. I graduated with his daughter Julie. Rich Denhart, did some work for him. I'm unfamiliar with, I don't know who you are. Paul Sully. And Joe Cook, Stephanie.
Okay.
But, yeah, I'm anxious and I'm excited because, well, I'm retired now. So I
Alright,
lay down my paintbrush, but I do restore heirloom furniture, that's kind of my, passion I've always had, so that, and, I have the time now to devote to this, and I just, nice way to
Great.
get involved, and give back to my community,
Sure.
truly. But if you would, just allow me this, because I know that, Well, I'm passionate about East Troy, and I go it a little, it's short, probably about a minute, but it kind of gives you a feel for how I think about things.
Okay.
And whether you liked it, agree with it, or disagree with it, or are indifferent, at least you know where I stand.
Well, we're not the
And
ones
I'm not trying to be-
position.
I'm not, I just wanna, it's just something that I think that would, help. Well, I kind of, first off, I did kind of, I just kind of tuned into that comprehensive plan for East Troy, and that's a lot of homework there. And I just kind of got into that, and I just started to mill around with, the planning commission and whatever. So I just wanted to read this. Smart growth. I struggle with this term. I think growth is the word that is bothersome to me. Growth has many definitions. When I think of growth, I think of quality, not quantity. Let me explain. Quality pertains to aesthetic value, which in an abstract sense is an investment in our health and well-being. We derive a sense of serenity and contentment from our rural landscape. It is nature itself that evokes such feelings. Enhancement or preservation of our rural landscape is paramount to our well-being. Discretionary, yes, but we must be prudent not to allow development that steals our rural landscape for the sake of financial gain. For once the spade touches the earth and tills the soil, we lose a piece of our rural, if not our heritage. Little by little, it is lost forever, never to return. First and foremost, people move to the country to get away from it all, to seek this quality. So let's keep what we have as long as we can. People will be envious of our living here because we've stayed rural. Staying rural, while municipalities around us become congested and overpopulated, will, in the long term, increase our property value because people have always and will desire rural property and will be in short supply. What do we want? What do we value? We don't need commercial property. Fix up and repurpose what we have. Let's encourage and help family-friendly businesses that support our community. If you need convenience, it's 10 minutes away. I stress quality business, not quantity of business, such as many of our neighboring municipalities. I don't want developers. All they want to do is line their pockets. Residential development is also concerning to me. All I can say is, less is more. I have a deep affection for rural living, and I'd like to keep it that way. I hope you do too. Thank you. Well, you got me. Okay. Later on.
Well, our mission statement in the town of East Troy is that we are an agricultural community, and I don't know that anybody sitting up here has any intention of changing that.
Good, I just, well, I just had to say that, it
Sure.
makes me feel good, if anything, makes me feel good.
Great, well, welcome aboard, thank you.
Okay, thanks.
What's your address? Is it the A that you live at?
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, 2447.
Yeah.
A. Okay. Make it on the list.
One second. Go ahead.
I'd like to put it on the record that, our recognition of appreciation for Barb's work to
Absolutely.
plan that
Absolutely, yes.
commission after these years.
Thank you, Barb. Thank you, Barb.
Thanks, guys.
I'll second that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thanks, Joel, for being the commissioner after Victor left, because I couldn't do what you did.
Victor left. That's one way to put it. Yes, Pete.
But one last thing for Mr. Zelinski. Dina Burns and Edith Meter told me that you're supposed to teach me LGL.
Other public comment, Carl?
Just one thing I wanna bring up, and then this is directed for Barb. Barb, I'm supposed to be here Monday night at the board meeting, you
Yeah.
know. But the problem I have, I'm also supposed to be cooking dinner at the fire department for the department.
Not everybody who has to, has their, material come before the town board has to be here in attendance. A CSM is pretty much dotting i's and crossing t's, so, I don't see that that will be an issue.
Okay. I just wanna state that if something comes up, maybe you can table it till later in the meeting, give me a call and I'll take a run down here quick.
Yeah,
I mean, I can set up dinner for them guys to just have it ready, but it kinda, you know, it's one that I need
It's a
to be there,
process, I
serve
get
and do and whatnot,
yeah,
so I appreciate that.
okay,
And, one last thing, just an update for everybody, we will be turning dirt, actively going after the storage shed site within 30 to 60 days. We've just finished up our financing, and that was the last hurdle, you know, up to this point, we just puttered when we had extra time. But now we're gonna be going after it hardcore. Our permits are all submitted to the state as of today, and, so it is progressing actively. So,
Okay.
just wanna let everybody know.
I'll keep you in the loop.
Thank you.
Alright, with nothing else, I take a motion to adjourn.
I move we
We have a
adjourn.
motion to adjourn, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? We're adjourned, thank you.
Ten.
Monday.
But the